Alright, what's up everyone? This is Aragon from Team Velocity Gaming, and today I'm going to be starting a new, I'm going to start making videos for strats and stuff like that we use on Team Velocity. They're not necessarily meant for average people, strats. These videos are mainly more meant for you guys, the people on the main team, so that it's easier to communicate strats out, such as smokes, stuff like that. Um, so today, so for my first couple videos, for my first 3 to 4, I'm not going to actually use strats. I'm only just going to talk about vocab and also just how we play the game. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about a default and what a default is and explaining it. So default and there's a default on T and CT side are two totally different things. On CT side, a default is basically your default setup. So what you would usually do. So for example, a default setup on train would be 4A 1B or something like that, right? It's more specific than that based on who's doing what and who's watching where, but that's just a general concept for a CT side default. Now, a T side default would be, alright, we're going to hold these positions until X amount of time and then execute or hope for a pick. So for example, if our default on train, which I'm not going to go into a ton of detail, but we have 1 Ivy, 1 T-Con, and then 3 upper. So I play Ivy. I will usually have an op, but on this situation I don't have an op, obviously. So I would play right here and try to go for the pick, and that would be the default. It's just hoping for rush. On our team, we're probably going to have passive and aggressive defaults. A passive default would be right here. So let's say I call out, I'm like, alright guys, this round we're going to play passive default until minute 10. So that basically mean I go up here and I just play till minute 10, or we wait for a pick and then we execute on that pick. An aggressive default for me, but I'll explain this in each of the default, because I'm going to make separate videos for the different maps as default, so they'll be more in depth, but so for my aggressive default, I'd probably throw a flash right there, and then I peek on top right here with an op, and then try to see if I can get a pick there. Wide peek here, see if I can get a pick. If not, just hold it, and then we wait until the time to execute. So that would be a default is basically your setup that you would do on most given rounds. Now the thing is that you do not want to play your default the same every single round, because especially as T-side, CT it's not as bad, but on T-side they'll start to read it, and it'll be kind of easy for them to start to realize, alright, they're just doing this, let's just play passive, or, or let's just abuse these spots, or whatever. So, for the way you change it on T-side, so the big part of CSGO is you gotta play statically / dynamically, and dynamically is basically you change up your strats. So so that's the whole point of the passive and aggressive, is that we're not constantly doing passive and they just realize, alright, we don't even need to push and they're just wasting time. And then we might have to use utility since they'll know we'll do it. So that's why you gotta switch that up, but you can also switch it up in other ways. You can be like, alright guys, we're gonna have because Darius plays T-Con. Alright, Darius and George are going to play aggressive. Everyone else plays passive. So we'll try to work and pick towards A, or something like that. So that you can switch it up and you can do different matches and all that stuff. Another thing is that you don't have to do the default every round on T-side. You can do like really aggressive rounds where just like, alright, we're just going to do A take. You can do like a little more of like a weirder one. Like, alright, 2 Ivy, 2 T-Con, 1 pop dog, and we all execute on A. You can do fakes and all that stuff, which I'll go more in depth of that stuff later, but you guys just need to know the defaults, and you need to know the smokes and the takes for each map, basically. But I'm just explaining this because it kind of gives you an idea on how we're going to play the game, and then also what a default is when I call it out. Another default is also sometimes used for bomb plant spots. This is not a good map to show it on, but certain maps have default plant spots. Don't get the two confused. I probably won't be calling out let's play our default when the bomb's been planted, so it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But yeah, so that's the default, and the way to switch it up on T side is to just play differently. It's about as simple as that. On CT, I'm a little bit more like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, because CT, you're a little bit more reactionary. But a big part of CT is you want to dictate the pace. So for example, Christian plays B solo, and he's just going like with a molly out, like this, and then if he sees someone, he just throws it, right? So he's like, oh, and he sees somebody, I messed that up, but he throws it, and then that's good enough. He throws it, and then they can't run through, and then I can come through connector and watch upper. But the thing is that if they start to go B a lot and they realize that he's just jiggle peeking it and he's soloing it, or they realize that like I'm playing connector, they know we have a weak B, so they can abuse that. At that point, I think the default, our CT default only works until they figure out that they only have one B. So I think, in my opinion, the round we don't got stuck in one of these steps. The round we lose a B site, or the round we lose B, is when we'll switch it up and we'll just have 2B, 3A. The only reason I want to stack towards A is because most teams play A, but I'm going too much into detail. But as CTs, there's two ways to change it up. The more obvious one is you're like, alright, we're just going to have 2 here and 3 there, you know, or something like that, which is a little more reactionary, and you don't want to just do that out of the blue. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense unless you like think they're going to B-rush, or if you get a call, like if someone pushes aggressive ladder and they're like, alright, I hear someone upper, I can then prematurely rotate connector, something like that. The other way, and this is a little more, this is better because this kind of shows that this is kind of more, a little bit more in charge, because then it shows that the CTs have, because typically T's have kind of control of the game as far as like when they push and all that stuff, and then it's kind of CT's job to take that away from them with nades and all that stuff. The best way, in my opinion, is to play aggressive. So like, for example, and then just get a pick and then fall back. Or okay, so the thing with so CT side aggression is basically the answer for that. You want to push aggressive. Now there's two. What if they can see the legs? Whatever. The thing with CT side aggression is that we all have a habit, I do, everyone does, where we over push it. So for example, this isn't hard to explain in B, but I'll better show in a T-Con. So for example, actually ladder's a good example too. If we have ladder control, we don't need to push up the ladder. We can just stay here and just wait for them to drop down and just go, just kill them, right? Because they're dropping, so they'll have inaccuracy. If they pop flash, you'll probably hear the pin and you can look away like, and then just dead, right? Another example is T-Con. So let's say you push T-Con, right? And we have T-Con control. You don't need to try to go for the flank. You can just play here, right? This map is actually not a very good example. This map's a little more flanky, especially from Ivy and T-Con, but don't push up ladder here is what I'm kind of saying. And also if you push up upper right here, you don't have to really go for the flank. You can try to just wait and get in a good position, and then if they rotate, great. If they don't, you can just push out pop dog late. In my opinion, one of the better examples would be something like A main on Cash. So the rotates on that map are pretty easy. Like certain maps are really hard to rotate on, like Mirage is really hard to rotate on, but Cash is really easy. So let's say you push up Cash, you get like a pop flash wherever you're in A main. You don't need to try to go for the flank through A main, because sometimes they'll just be watching push. Like yesterday, if any of you guys watched, I don't think any of you guys did because you guys are all live, but I'm just using this because there's an example from yesterday. But so I got pop flashed into A main and I just stayed in A main at an off angle, and I ended up getting 2 kills and then a wallbang. I'm not gonna count the wallbang because that was all luck, but the other 2 kills were just good positioning. So try to get in the habit of not over pushing and being not over greedy, but like over kind of like confident, because then sometimes if for example, if I push up, going back to the Cash example, if I push up an A main, I try to go for the flank and then I die, they now know there's one less person on A, so they're just gonna rotate to A, right? And even if they don't, we now have the uncertainty of we don't know where they are anymore. Because that's another thing, is that pushing also gives you intel. So for example, if I push upper and there's no one here, I can just post up here, like this is a good spot, because you can watch, no one's really going to be peeking this from up here. They'll probably be jumping down or running. So you won't die, you probably won't die from them. You can kind of be focused on you can go snap to them. But and then you could just have the information of, alright, none of them are B, so we can just stack A and just hope and just, wait for them to A execute, right? So that's just what's so great about pushing, is that it gets you intel and also hopefully gets you picks. We just need to get in the habit of not over pushing. So yeah, that's been it for this video. Next week I'm gonna be going over economy after pistol, but yeah, thanks for watching.